Alright, we have the confirmation that definitely Ukraine hit the Russian ferries in the Kerch Strait, totally disabling the transportation of the Russian army using those particular ships. Well, in this particular video, you can see one of the ferries. It's the biggest one they have. It is used to transport the trains, and it was hit right into the deck. One more satellite image is shown over here. By the way, the other ferry also was hit, but we haven't received any sort of the satellite images or photo confirmation about that one. But it is smaller and used for the self-propelled vehicles, let's say, and this one is for the trains only. And here we have the photo from the side. Definitely it's a big ship and it sustained severe damages to its construction. So from now on it requires significant maintenance, heavy maintenance, which I would say is not that easy to do. So I think that several months at least this ship is unuseful. And here's the big hole right in the deck. The deck itself, as you can see, is mixed metal and wooden construction. And here we see more of the holes, more damages down to the ship. So generally it's just the steel covered by the wood on the top. And on this image we may see that the ship is banking, so probably there is the war inside of it. Yeah, I'm sure about it. Also on this picture you may see the other ferry which I showed you yesterday. Also, as it was said by the Russian officials, it sustained damages. Yeah, definitely we see the part of this one. So Ukraine cut the Kerch Sea connection, and I think in the future it will cut also a bridge connection. In that case, Russia would lose all of the capabilities to transport their troops across the Kerch Channel. Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. But it wasn't just the airstrike on the Kerch Bridge. Today also the Ukrainian military intelligence published this sort of the video from the drone boat perspective, and they hit couple of the small boats also in the Kerch Bridge. When I first saw this video, I thought that probably I was wrong about ferries or the Russian official information wasn't correct, and after all Ukraine hit just small boats, army boats, but actually it is combo, so Russia lost their ferries together with those boats. Also, Russians reported about the railway infrastructure damage right in the port. I will publish this video on my Telegram channel, so guys, you are highly welcome to check out my Telegram group in the video description just below. As you can see, just near the boat there is some sort of the station, maybe for the Russian army, whatever. Still, the biggest problem for Ukrainian drone boats are the Russian helicopters. You may see them over here. They're quite capable in damaging or even destroying Ukrainian drone boats. So the effectiveness of those is much lower than before. So Ukraine needs to come out with some of the solution to counteract that threat to the boats. Maybe installing the simple man pads on top of the boats, but still you need to aim the target before firing it. So you need to control the turret with the man pad separately. It's really hard and very expensive to achieve. About the Russian big ferry which was hit, you may see it transporting some of the fuel maybe to occupied Crimea. So Russia is out of this tool. There are 3 of the railways on top of the deck, so it may transport 3 of the train lines with 6 carriages in each. So indeed it is quite capable, or maybe it was capable, because I wonder if Russia may restore it in the nearby future. Probably they have to spend many months for it, because for sure it requires dry or wet dock for those repairs. About the Kerch Bridge connection itself, well, I think that Ukraine will not wait for a very long time, because the other connection, the sea connection, has already been disturbed with yesterday's strike. We see the signs that Ukraine is working on it. The bad thing for Ukraine that Russia is constantly working hard to build the railroad connection from Rostov-on-Don all across the occupied territories right into Crimea. In that case, Russian military doesn't really need a Kerch Bridge any longer. So I think that Ukraine has 1 year or year and a half to cut the Russian supplies into Crimea, so into the southern part of occupied territories, for example, Kherson. The satellite images are showing constant construction of that railroad. My friends, if you want to support the job that I do daily on YouTube, you may join also my Patreon team. You may find the link for my Patreon page in the video description just below. Thank you so much for your awesome support. Meanwhile, the Astra source reports about the drone strikes on the Russian Novorossiysk port. The Novorossiysk is the biggest Russian oil port in the Black Sea, and the strikes are happening just right now. Air raids are ongoing in the city, and as you saw in the video, there are some of the kabooms. What was hit, I'm still out of clue because it's just the fresh information. I received it while filming the video, so I'm gonna update you in this video or later on. From the official information we have from the Russian side, the mayor of the city said that the part of the city is closed for entry and for exit because of the strikes. Putin's cottage administrative building just burned down in Altai region of Russia. It's definitely far away from Ukrainian border. I had to blur the image because of the platform requirements, but anyways, my friends, the building is gone completely. Why did it happen? Well, for now we're out of clue. But Putin's property burning, it's quite interesting. So this building totally burned down and this one is still fine. And here you can see a couple of the landing spots for helis. Alright, we have the official statement from Antony Blinken that Ukraine is not restricted any longer in using the air defense systems over the Russian territory. It's a good sign. It's the first step in allowing Ukraine to use all the Western-made weaponry on the Russian military bases. Well, at least Ukraine may shut down Russian cruise missiles or the Russian airplanes, for example, using Patriot systems. As Ukraine did before, but rumors say that there was a big scandal between Ukrainian and German authorities. But now, according to the new realities, there should be no any scandals. Moreover, Politica says that Biden secretly gave Ukraine permission to strike inside Russia with the United States weapons. However, here Biden spoke just about the Kharkiv region, so United States gave the Ukraine unofficial approval to strike the Russian forces to protect the Kharkiv city, so in that particular region. Probably we're speaking about the Belgorod Oblast, where Russia also accumulates their forces. But we know that they also want to strike Sumy region, and they're sending their forces to Chernihiv and to Belarus. We're gonna speak about it later in this video, by the way. That threat is very significant from what I see. Well, after all, I think that Ukraine should be allowed to use weaponry all across the front lines to protect itself. It doesn't matter Kharkiv or not, because the next threat could be for Sumy city or for other places. Ukraine should be proactive, targeting the Russian bases and the Russian forces on the Russian territory before they start attacking Ukraine, because if they start the attack, it is damn too late. And I really like this secret word published in mass media sources, right? Moreover, Politica says that it got the confirmation from four of the sources in the White House. A really classified information. So guys, if you watch this, don't tell anyone, because it's top secret now. Well, Biden is okay to protect Kharkiv. Maybe in that case we should rebrand the country into Kharkiv, rename it. Yeah, it's in Cyrillic, Kharkiv. Alright, today Belarus officials say that they want to declare a state of the martial law in Gomel Oblast to convert it to the wartime area. This oblast is right at the border with Ukraine. By the way, from this region Russia assaulted towards Kiev, and also they tried to reach capital from this side. It didn't work by that time, but who knows, maybe Russia will try to do it once again. Why is it concerning for me? Because we have the statement from the Ukrainian Defense Minister Umerov, who said that Russia wants to create a new assault group of their forces, which might count around 300,000 soldiers. Well, maybe they're gonna use those on the east, but there is a high probability that they might strike Ukraine from the northern direction. Russia wants really to push Ukraine for some sort of the capitulation negotiations, as they tried to do in 2022. Also, just look at this image showing many of the Russian air defense systems based on the Russian territory right behind Ukrainian border. Just a single cluster ATACMS shell might get rid of those air defense systems. So Ukraine should use ATACMS not just to protect Kharkiv. Wow, for the first time in American history, a former president of the United States of America found guilty by all of the court members. Donald Trump was found accounted falsifying business records in New York hush money trial, and yet the sentence is unknown for Donald Trump. Well, I'm not really that close familiar with the United States jurisdiction. I just checked some of the analytics, and they lean towards that even though Trump was found guilty, but he wouldn't spend even a day in a prison. Most agree that the punishment of Trump will be limited probability period or maybe some of the limits for his freedom, but not in the prison, maybe some sort of the house arrest, something like that. But the fact that he was found guilty by the court is really outstanding. The Austin Defender reports about downing of several of the fundraising pages of the Republican sites, including the page of the former President Donald Trump. They're down or struggling to load following a massive spike in traffic, so many of the Trump supporters are now willing to support their candidates. And moreover, it's kind of strange for our probably European legislation that even if Donald Trump is jailed, he will still be able to run his campaign as a candidate for the United States presidency, and if he wins, he might pardon himself. Again, I bought this information from the experts on internet. Most of them are saying like that, things like that. Also, I heard a report about it on BBC. So Trump has the way out for him personally, even with the most harsh verdict he possibly able to face. Well, maybe guys I'm wrong, and you may add some your comments down to this video explaining the story of how it could be, because again I didn't dig into the legislation of the United States. I just read some of the experts, so I'm very limited to judge this situation fully. Probably you know more. But the fact that Trump definitely has many of the supporters. From the same source we have the statement that Trump in any case will continue to run against President Joe Biden even if he is sentenced to prison time. If he wins election in November, he would still be sworn in as President of the United States, possibly even inside the prison. But I think, well, according to the BBC report that I heard today in the radio, they say that he has the full right to pardon himself in this case. So all of the case will be just destroyed by the Trump himself if he gets elected. That is why it's very important for Donald Trump to be a next United States president. So go no go for him. The stakes are very, very high. Okay, the Wall Street Journal says that if Trump is elected as the next United States president, he would choose Elon Musk as his direct advisor. Moreover, we have the information they speak with each other directly on a cell phone many of the times. Luckily, according to the source, Elon Musk is not going to dig into the external politics of the United States. No, Trump is going to let him do the United States border thing. Well, we'll see how it goes. Kind of the interesting team Trump wants to create, including Elon Musk and probably even Tucker Carlson. And definitely some Americans are willing to see those people in charge. Honestly, in my personal opinion, those people are in lack of competence, at least Elon Musk for sure. I guess that if he stayed as a businessman, entrepreneur, it would be much better for him. Because sometimes what he writes on X platform, I mean his personal tweets, is just cringiest cringe of the cringe. Well, honestly, what worries me is not Donald Trump or Elon Musk or their team. I don't care. It could be the internal politics of the United States, but they influence Ukraine with their decisions, and the attitude towards Russia and Putin and how they see the end of the war is very important for Ukraine. That's why I'm quite concerned about the issue. One more American drone, MQ Reaper, was down by Houthis. It's already the 6th drone which United States Air Force loses in that area. Yes, definitely it's true, but the drone wasn't shot down by those men. No. Houthis are using the anti-aircraft systems given to them by Iran or maybe even Russia. Those, as you can see, are effective against MQ Reaper drones. Sometimes I get the questions in the comments about the number of the F-16s that are promised to Ukraine. Well, totally Belgium, Norway, Denmark and Netherlands promised 95 of the airplanes of that type to Ukraine. However, Ukrainian military command says that we need around 120-130 airplanes to counteract the Russian aviation threat, so still we need to get 35 of the airplanes more. Plus, those 95 of the airplanes wouldn't be supplied to Ukraine right away this year, no. It might take 2 or even 3 years to prepare all the personnel, all the technicians and all the logistics for those, so we need constant supplyment of the airplanes to Ukraine. After all, I think that more countries will participate in this initiative for Ukraine, supplying not just F-16s but also F-18s. Because the cockpit of those airplanes is very similar, it may lower the requirements for pilots to obtain the rating for the new aircraft type. Well, anyways, we'll see how it goes. About the Swedish sub-surveillance airplane that will be delivered to Ukraine, well, actually 2 of those airplanes will be delivered, and here you can see its range 400 kilometers, which is okay for this airplane to fly in quite safe airspace, far away from the front lines or far away from the border. At the same time, spotting of what is happening in Belarus or on the Russian bordering territory with Ukraine or even in Crimea. Alright, so what's about the situation on the ground? Mainly, Russian forces were stopped all around the front lines for today. Well, they still have the attempts to move forward, but for now they use emergency forces like paratroopers and quite surprisingly, TikTok warriors. Yes, Ahmad Battalion was sent to fight in Kharkiv region. We have the reports about it from our soldiers, I may confirm that. While there are also ethnic Russians in Ahmad battalions sometimes, and they're trying to propel in Vovchansk city, so there's heavy battle ongoing, and our guys caused them really severe losses. For the FPV drone, it doesn't matter whether it's Ahmad or not. But it's one of those rare cases that TikTok warriors really went to fight. They were sent actually by the Russian command. So something tells me that they will not be so successful in their attack attempts. But also we know that Russia creates the group of their soldiers, of their forces, right at the border with Ukraine, so they might strike again with a new power. I'm gonna monitor the situation about it. Other than that, there are no any changes on the front line today, nothing to say about. Alright, we have even the confirmation from the Russian side, because I take those pictures from the Russian sources, that Ukraine was able to trophy many of the Russian units, and now they're fighting for the Ukrainian army. We have even images showing that Ukraine was able to do it. We're speaking about the Russian T-80 tanks. They were spotted in one of the training facilities of Ukraine. According to statistics, Ukraine was able to capture many of the Russian tanks, their units, especially during the Ukrainian counteroffensive operation in Kharkiv region back in 2022. And sometimes, even now, as you can see, Ukraine is able to trophy very important vehicles, which later on fight for Ukraine. Great. My friends, now don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. And by the way, as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.